Actually, my journey toward working with hospice began about 18 years ago when my brother passed away from pancreatic cancer. Jack's last week to 10 days was spent in a hospital room. From what I remember, the room was just a plain white room, not inviting, not comforting. I remember the whole time he was there, he just wanted to go home. I remember thinking at the time there had to be a better way to die. It just seemed so sterile. 4 years later, my dad passed away, also in a hospital and very similar. He did get very good care, but the staff is also busy with other patients too. At the hospital, the words were never really said. It was very confusing. I didn't really know what was happening with my dad, and I actually had to make an appointment with the doctor to find out if my dad was dying. Again, I was thinking so much is done when a person is brought into the world, but so little is done when a person is dying. Then about 7 years ago, my brother-in-law, Ron, passed away. Ron was a great guy. He loved the outdoors, loved his family, and he just loved anything that had to do with nature. At age 58, Ron was also diagnosed with cancer, and after a courageous battle of about 4.5 months, it proved that the efforts were unsuccessful. Originally, Ron had thought he had wanted to die at home, but on the advice of a very good friend who worked at the Rosedale Hospice, he decided that he would have a visit there and see what he thought. And he met with the doctors, and they explained to him everything to expect, both physically and mentally, and how the hospice would be able to help him as his life was ending. I saw Ron the day before he went to the hospice, and again a week later. He was resting comfortably, and there was a sense of peace and calm that I just cannot put into words. It was like this throughout the hospice. Everywhere you went, there was serenity with each individual, whether it was staff or family members. 2 weeks after coming to the hospice, Ron passed away. He said the system couldn't help him to live, but it did help him to die. The hospice did an incredible job of making Ron's journey the best that it could be. The doctors who were trained in palliative care were able to effectively relieve his symptoms. There was counseling for the family, and they took care of all the family's needs. There was a place for the family to rest, to eat, and for little children to be comfortable. How did the hospice help Ron? The doctors helped alleviate his fears by explaining how they would take care of him, especially with his pain control. They helped him to let go of the world's problem and allow himself to die. Ron also met with a non-denominational chaplain who spoke with him and respected his last wishes. He was open to discuss whatever he wanted to talk about. His room was a beautiful room. He had pictures of his family and his friends, and he played his favorite music. Everyone who walked through that door was comforted. There were several rooms to rest. There was a kitchen, a guest bedroom, a large children's room, and a chapel for those who wanted to pray or just to reflect. There were no phone calls, no intravenous, no blood pressure checking, and only movement for comfort. The hospice helped Ron to fully live his remaining days. There was time for everything that was important.